So some of you have probably gotten used to this by now, that I do this little joke at the start of every single after show every single week, because it's kind of a fun thing to do, like a little bit of a cold open, as they would call it other places. And today's no different. And I've worked on this joke for an entire week. It's been building up for a very long time, and you're going to get this really funny joke right now. Here it is. Funny joke time. So here's the joke. This part's the joke. So what's the deal with Danganronpa, huh? What's the deal with Danganronpa? You know, we're right at the end of Danganronpa. We're finishing Danganronpa. We're finishing up the main story of Danganronpa. Congratulations, Calvin. You just made yourself sad. Hello, Baby Gang says, this is what is called the after show. The after show is a show where I talk about the Let's Play more in depth, usually try and say it from the heart, something from the soul, and we talk about, today, Danganronpa V3, or at least the end of Danganronpa V3. Not only the end of Danganronpa V3, but also the end of Danganronpa in general. In terms of the mainline stories on the channel, we've played through Danganronpa 1, we played through Danganronpa 2, we played Ultra Despair Girls, and we watched V3, or we played V3, sorry. And these are like the mainline games, the mainline story. Now, there is other stories we can add to it, like there is Danganronpa S, and there's other Danganronpa games you can play. We will be playing fan games at some point too. But it's just important to note that this is the end for the mainline games. Because this chapter is very important to me, you might notice in this video that I'm talking more from the heart rather than from a script. And that is just because I wanted to really express my feelings on this and not just like put it through a filter on a page. Even though the scripts weren't filtered, it was kind of just like not this off the cuff, off the top of the brain, off the tip of the heart type of thing. So we'll be talking about this in a more heartfelt fashion, I think, today, just because this chapter means so much to me. We start off the whole chapter with Kibo destroying the school. Everyone's kind of really worried, everyone's really scared. But honestly, like, I kind of understand where he's coming from. At first, I didn't understand where he was coming from. But then he's like, hey, I don't want this game to continue. I'm just going to destroy this whole school. You have until dawn. You have until dawn, which is the morning, to find the secrets of the school and find a way to save us all without me destroying the school. And he gives us till morning. So now there's this new mechanic that happens in the game where you start at the kind of, I guess the tail end of nighttime, and you're going to dawn, which is the morning, and it has this bar on the screen. You have to basically find out all the secrets of the school, talk to the right people, find the right evidence in the allotted time. The only way to do this apparently is if you do it in a crit path and you only talk to the people you're supposed to talk to, only find the evidence you're supposed to talk to, and that's it. I failed multiple times on this because I didn't know what to do, and I was kind of really into talking to people. I don't know how I feel about this mechanic, just because it was funny, there's no real penalty. It just takes you back to the start of whatever room you're in. So there wasn't a thing where I was like, oh, this is terrible. This is a terrible penalty. You die and you come back 5 minutes before you died, and they give you more time. So it wasn't really like that terrible. The only thing was, it kind of defeats the purpose of why I like Danganronpa in a way. I love Danganronpa because I get to talk to everybody. I was talking to every single person, and that's why I messed up in the end, or like the few times that I did mess up. But it's still a very interesting chapter nonetheless, even if that mechanic is a bit weird. Kibo's destroying every place. He's letting us into new rooms. He lets us into a few new rooms. The main rooms that he lets us into that are really, really important are Kokichi's room, Rantaro's ultimate lab, and the secret room that we've been building up to the entire game. It's almost like the basement in Attack on Titan. That secret room that we couldn't get into before, we can now get into thanks to Kibo just blowing up doors. First, we go into Rantaro's ultimate lab, and we find out that he is actually the ultimate survivor. The ultimate survivor is someone who gets a perk from the last game, who survived the last game, and has become, like, this person who, like, we find out later is getting punished, but right now is a survivor. We see it as something good. He gets a map of the whole school as a perk, and that's on his monopad, and not only that, he also gets some information, a tiny bit of information on the ultimate hunt, which puts into a new perspective what happened at the start of the game when he said, oh, like, have you guys heard about the ultimate hunt? This was him kind of trying to feel out if everyone else had the same memory. Rantaro really was someone who, if he survived, probably could do a lot more for this game. A lot more for this entire game. And I feel like that's the whole point of all these characters. You kind of guess, like, what would happen if Rantaro was still here? What would happen if Kaede was still here? And that's what's cool about these characters. They have, like, this purpose in this story, but there's so many branching paths you can see in your mind that it's like, what would happen if this person was still here? I love that about Rantaro and Kaede and most characters in this game, because it's like, what would happen if they're here? I didn't expect Himiko to be here in the last part of this, but she is, and fair play to her. Good on you, Himiko. I'm very, very proud of you. We also go into Kokichi's secret lab, which again is a very interesting place as well. It's mostly just like not as lethal as we thought. It almost looks like Batman's like Batcave in a way. We find a bunch of costumes there. We find a book there on the secrets of the academy. It seems like everything's kind of laid out for us though. And I think the reasoning for this is to show us right away, Kokichi's not as lethal as we thought. He's not as evil as he tried to make himself out to be. We know that Kokichi is a little jokester, a little liar, so it's no surprise that he made us feel this way. We then go to Kokichi's bedroom, and we do this with Maki. By the way, everyone's exploring right now, everyone's doing their little searching thing right now, and it's freaking awesome. It makes it feel like every single character is super important in this game. Maki and Shuichi find the monopad, which is the cub pad, I should get the cub pad. That shows everyone's motives from a previous chapter. If you remember, everyone got their own different people's motives, apart from Kokichi and Kurumi, who apparently got their own motives, which makes a lot of sense now because someone else would have had to have gotten their own motive. In Kokichi's motive, it just shows him the outside world. It shows him that all of his group that he created, DICE, D-I-C-E, are now behind bars. And this was the thing that was supposed to make Kokichi want to leave this place as soon as possible, make him want to get out of this place as soon as possible. DICE, his group that he's the leader of, is not what we thought it would be. It's not some evil organization. They're just a group of delinquents who do little pranks around the whole world. And I actually love the designs of these characters. They're dressed up as clowns, which makes sense for Kokichi, but not only that, they just have a really cool vibe to them. I would love to see a cartoon of this. I talked about it in the actual episode. I would love to draw my own fan comic of this. And I think that we might try to do a little bit of a short at least, maybe a 5-page little comic of the DICE characters. Because I was already thinking of oh my god, these guys would be so cool to have their own game, their own show. They look so fun, and Kokichi's such a fun character that it would really, really carry the whole thing. He also has a lot of instruments from each trial in his room as well, which I think again relates to him, makes his character that more interesting, because again, he was taking keepsakes from the tribe, but I really feel like he was just trying to solve a lot of things, or trying to realize a lot of things, or trying to stay a step ahead of everybody after it. In fact, he also has this whiteboard that has a load of people's pictures on him, and what he thinks of those characters on the board. And he even says a few characters are annoying, a few characters are good, he likes a few characters. He definitely likes Shuichi. Trustworthy, he calls Shuichi, which I think we would all agree Shuichi is very trustworthy. When Kibo destroys the hidden room, we find Mother Kuma. Mother Kuma is a head of Monokuma, but again, we can't trust if this is actually the truth, because again, in this game, the truth and the lies are all weaved together in one big, jumper that you can't tell the different fabrics, and we're going to talk about fabrics in a bit too. Mother Kuma basically says, yo, I can give birth to Monokumas, but you have to say, give birth. And it has to be a specific person who's the mastermind in this game has to say, give birth. All of the characters who were in the room at the time, Maki, Smoothie, Himiko, Shuichi, they all go, hey, give birth, give birth, give birth, except for Smoothie. Except for Smoothie, who says, oh, have a child or something, or make a new Monokuma. And at that moment, I didn't realize at the moment because I brushed past it, but when you look back on it, that would have revealed right away, she is the mastermind. She is the mastermind. In that room as well also though, we find a shot put ball that has pink fabrics on it, which is the same pink, the exact same tone as Kaede's jumper. And it's at this moment that we realize there was 2 shot put balls. One was a bloody shot put ball, the other was one that Kaede was keeping in her bag with a spare jumper. And now we start to think the first trial might have been wrong all along. And yeah, spoilers! It was wrong. It was the wrong trial. It was completely wrong. And this is a big moment just because I think we have this realization almost instantly, and I think every player will have the realization almost instantly, that Kaede didn't kill Rantaro, which means that this whole game is a farce. Because even if the other trials are real and the other trials are true, which I do think that a lot of the other trials were definitely true, and they actually did have the same killers, like of course Gonta killed Miyu, like, you know, of course Kyo killed Tenko. That happened. Like, they admitted it. But there was no way for Kaede to confirm that she was the one that killed Rantaro. And now we realize that maybe, just maybe, she might have been innocent all along, which, I don't know, I think it hurts a lot more than we thought. To me, it hurts a lot more, because now she died for no reason. Well, not for no reason. She gave us hope and she inspired everybody. She's the reason that every single character in this game has hope. But I do think that, like, her dying was completely unfair. Not that there's fair in this game, because again, I think that this particular Danganronpa game drives home that these masterminds, Smoothie and Monokuma, are not fair in this game. They're not totally fair. They have done stuff that's really unfair, and it's intentional. This is not something that's like, oh, I got you guys, plot hole. This is a thing where they're trying to show that this is a parody almost of the first two games, because one of the theories people have is that the first two games actually did happen, and then they tried to recreate the magic over and over again with a bunch of seasons by making fictional characters to make them more interesting, and I do like that theory. We'll talk about more about the fictional stuff later, because that's going to happen. I'm moving ahead, but we have to talk about it right now. But I really feel the reason why stuff like this happens, and the reason why, like, we're able to find the shot put ball, the reason why we're able to find out this stuff so easily is because Smoothie and Monokuma are a shadow of Junko. They're not as powerful as Junko. They're not as incredible as Junko. Junko would not have left the shot put ball there. She wouldn't have put it in the trash. You know what I mean? That's the last place she would have put it. She would have hid it away completely, unless she wanted people to find it. But we find out later that definitely Smoothie did not want people to find the shot put ball. We go to this other place, which is the classroom on the second floor, a room that we just like pass by forever so many times in this game. But this time we go inside and we find out that this is the place that they're making the flashback lights. The flashback lights, as we kind of suspected, were able to recreate memories or like change memories. And in this sense, they were implanting memories in people's brains, changing like what they believe to be real. This is so important. This is such an important moment, just because now we know that a lot of the things that we've been told throughout the game could be a lie, which also leads to the idea that even if like some Monokuma or Smoothie is trying to think that we're in danger, think that we're like in so much trouble, or that something's happening with the outside world, how can we truly believe it if every other thing that they've shown us is a lie? Every other thing that they've said to us is a lie. Or maybe it isn't a lie. That's what makes this so effed up. This flashback light was created, and it was also, like, I believe, right next door to where Kaede, like, came out as well. Someone said to me, and this is an interesting thing, I didn't even notice this, Smoothie, who is the mastermind, spoilers, is always outside that room, like, in some of the chapters. She's, like, always there. She's always standing outside that room. It also leads to the idea that now we know that the mastermind is one of us, or one of the students, because why would they need a room like this if they can just make flashback lights by themselves? They can just go in and make flashback lights anywhere, you know? That wouldn't make any sense at all. The secret room that we went into before as well, by the way, they got caved in. They got caved in, Himiko was trapped in there, but Himiko got out. And the way she got out was by going through the girl's bathroom. This is one of the craziest revelations ever, because instantly we know now it is, since the flashback lights are in a classroom, and also at the same time, the secret entrance is in the girls' bathroom. We know that someone needed easy access to get to the secret room. Someone needed easy access to get to flashback lights. That's what needed to happen. So now we know it's one of us. So now I'm thinking to myself, okay, it can't be Maki. It can't be Himiko, right? You know? Or it can't be Smoothie. But then I thought to myself, okay, think rationally. It can be Maki. And it can be Smoothie. It can't be Himiko, though. Himiko was, like, knocked off of my list of people that it could be from the start. It couldn't be, like, any other character like the boys either, because, no boy in this game, even though sometimes they could have been annoying or weird, I don't think any boy would risk going into the girls' bathroom in the game with the likes of Tenko in this game. Tenko would have murdered them completely. All these revelations that are leading up to the trial are incredibly well done. Like, I love that they, in the space of basically, it's a 3-hour investigation, but 2 hours and 40 minutes I spent on this investigation, maybe a little bit less. You find out so much. They give you so much information about previous trials, about previous characters that were gone. They let you see more of the school that you've been in for so long, and it all works. It all works really, really well for me. really enjoyed its investigation. I think it's the best investigation in the story so far. The only drawback I think was maybe the time limit, but I don't think the time limit really impedes it that much. It was actually just very, very, very good. The trial itself is the biggest mind F ever, and I'm not going to say the actual word itself, but you guys can tell what I'm saying. It is a crazy trial that people said it was going to drag on. I think the reason it didn't drag on for me is because I took it in hour increments and like took my time with it, and eventually like it was literally just like a 5-hour trial, maybe less, and it was great. It was really, really good. I know it's controversial, but I really enjoyed my time in this trial a lot. There's a lot of crazy revelations in this trial as well, a lot of accusations that happen in this game too, but it really just leads to the fact that Smoothie is the actual mastermind of this game and always has been the mastermind of this game. A character who you wouldn't suspect at all. And I actually like enjoyed this revelation too because it makes more sense than any other character now, just because who's the one person you wouldn't suspect? Who would be able to get away with just hanging outside one classroom for a bunch of time? Who would get away with being able to go to the bathroom at certain moments, like she did in this game when you weren't supposed to? Who could get away with that? And that's the one character that you wouldn't really suspect, and that's Smoothie. We also find out that Smoothie can cosplay as almost any single character, and one of the most heartbreaking moments happens in this trial. It F's with my head so much because I love these characters. She starts appearing as different characters from Danganronpa 1 and Danganronpa 2, and even appears as Junko and Ashima. Junko and Ashima, though, this is not our Junko. Junko is much more powerful in my opinion, and Junko is, and intentionally so, the writing has it that Junko is supposed to be scarier. Junko is supposed to be more meticulous. Junko is supposed to be like Smoothie is the parody. Again, as I said, intentionally so. She is a cosplayer. She is cosplaying Junko. She is not the actual Junko. You wouldn't say a cosplayer would be as powerful as the actual character. She appears as Taka, as Mondo, people I genuinely care about, Mikan. She appears as Kyoko at one point and Chiaki. And the reason they have for this is because they say you'll only really remember the first 2 games as these characters. And it's simultaneously like one of the most amazing moments in this game, but at the same time, it upsets me quite a bit. And I'm sorry for being such like a whiny baby about this. I'm not saying it's a perfect thing in terms of writing, but it just hurts, you know? It just hurts seeing these characters that I love dearly being treated as a parody, and then saying that all of us aren't even real. By the way, this is season 53 of a show called Danganronpa. Yes, this is a show called Danganronpa. Amazing. It is a good revelation, though. It is a good reveal. Now, it all makes sense. You know, we had Junko and Ashima, the 53rd iteration of Junko and Ashima. But not only that, but V3 stands for 53 in this game. Throughout this whole time, we've been on a season of a show that is supposed to be the 53rd season of a killing game. The first 2 games are so popular that they made more killing games. And apparently Ultra Despair Girls is supposed to be one too, because they do have it in some of the montages in this game. I don't know where that lands in the canon of everything. I choose to believe that everything is still canon, though. I choose to believe that these feelings are real, that the feelings were canon. I use the analogy of the Truman Show. Even though Smoothie says all of this was implanted, I made up everything. I made up that Maki, you were in love with Kaito. I made up that you and Kaede had this really strong bond. I made up that you and Tenko had this really strong bond, Himiko, and I made up all the stuff about Kibo too. In the Truman Show, they make up who he goes out with, who he marries, what school he goes to, what job he has, when he can go on a holiday, when he can travel over a bridge even. They make up all this stuff, but that doesn't change the fact that Truman has his own life and his own personality. It doesn't change the fact that in the Truman Show, a show about a person put in a fake world for people's entertainment, it doesn't change the fact that Truman wants to go to Fiji. They try to deter him to go into Fiji, but his personality breaks through so much in this, he wants to go to Fiji. Just like in this game, Smoothie tries to convince these characters that there's no hope for getting outside. There's no hope for having your own personalities. Where are you going to go? What are you going to do? You have completely different personalities than you did on the outside. Well, we still want to go, and you can't stop that. That's a part of our personality you can't stop. And that's why I believe that the feelings in this game are actually real. I believe that the characters in this game felt the things that they felt in this game. And I will stand by that. This is real for them. Yes, they're not actually a detective. Yeah, they're not actually the ultimate pianist. Yeah, they're not actually the ultimate freaking child caregiver assassin. We know this. But the feelings that they had for each other were exactly real. They were real feelings. Even if they auditioned for this, even if they wanted to be a part of this, even if their original characters were not the same as who they are now, we have those feelings towards Kaito. And there's people who believe that they're not real. I've had like discussions in the comments with very silly people saying that they're not real. And they are just like, and here's the thing. I get that people have different opinions. I'm not saying that you're silly for having that opinion. I'm saying there's silly people who are like, all of the emotions were just not real in this game. And it's like, my guys, do you really want that? Do you want, like, I get if you hate V3, that's fine. We can have a discussion about it. So I'm sorry for calling you silly. But like, for me, it's silly just because, like, why would you want that? Why would you even, like, entertain that idea? These amazing characters, one of my favorite Danganronpa games, or my favorite Danganronpa game ever. Jesus Christ, why would we want that? And I think we can, like, talk about as well about the fact that Smoothie is defeated pretty soundly in this game. She is told to go home, basically. She is basically reduced to a husk of her former self, and she's not even allowed. She's not even allowed to be the Junko of this game. While this whole time she's trying to make sure that she's the one who dies in this game. She's the one who gruesomely dies in this game and everyone survives because they want to create hope for a new season, which, by the way, is so freaking perfect. These sickos who are watching this show are like, oh my god, I love watching people die. It's like my favorite pastime. Mom, look at this person die. They're like, but at the end, to make themselves feel better and want to watch the next season, they go, well, if the heroes win in the end, then it means I've always supported them. I'm the good guy. I'm on the good side of things. But she's not able to do that. They all agree to just die. Every character in this game. It's gruesome, but Jesus freaking Christ, we can't shy away from the gruesomeness of Danganronpa anymore. This idea that they're all gonna just like die for themselves is actually more uplifting than many things in other Danganronpa games. I like that they're disregarding the idea of hope. This is what needs to happen because the idea of hope became a parody after a while. Even in Danganronpa 2, we talked about how hope became kind of a parody of itself, and we all kind of agreed on that. And Nagito was one of those people that was kind of pushing that idea forward. Smoothie dies, but not in the way that she wants. Kiba destroys the whole entire school, and she gets crushed by a rock. F yes. F yes. Crushed by a rock in an instant, by the way. This isn't a thing where like she gets to have like a Junko Enoshima moment where she's smiling at the camera as she's leaving. She's about to get burnt alive. Oh my god, this is amazing. She is crushed by a rock. And that's perfect for her character, because she didn't even get to have the Junko death. It's amazing. I freaking love it. I freaking adore this way for her to die. The credits roll, and I'm in this mood where I'm like, okay, they need to add more to this. I wanted to have the moment where everyone says goodbye, but they didn't. They didn't leave us there, I should say. Out of nowhere, at the end of this whole thing, the credits, after the credits, we see Himiko, Maki, and Shuichi have survived. Now everyone presumes they're dead because everyone stopped watching. They can live their own lives. They can see what's beyond this area, this bubble that they've created. And it's a beautiful moment because these are characters that are real, and they do say they have feelings for each other. They appreciate each other. And they just have to not take the word of a crazy maniac like Smoothie. And that's the thing. Like, why would they take her word for it? Why should they take her word for it? These characters decide to leave and live their own lives. They've successfully broken the Danganronpa curse in the Danganronpa game. My voice is changing a little bit now because now this is the last time I will be talking about Danganronpa in this fashion. Now, of course we're going to be playing fan games. There are other games in the Danganronpa franchise that I cannot wait to play. But the fact of the matter is, this is like the last Danganronpa game in the mainline franchise. And I guess what I want to say is that this was my favorite Danganronpa game. I thought they stuck the landing so well. I thought the stories in this whole chapter were so good. I thought the entire game was really, really good, and I loved it. I love the characters in this game. Kokichi's my favorite character. This game saved, my life on many occasions. It really did. I played these games in times that were very, very sad for me, and I don't know what I'm going to do without them. What I will say is this, though, as well, is that going on this journey with you guys meant the world to me. And I can't say my appreciation for you guys enough. I hope you guys will come on the other journeys and other games as well. But all I'll say is that goodbye, Danganronpa. And, the baby gangsters will live forever. We're not going to do a ranking. You guys know my rankings. I did a tier list recently. If you want to know who my favorite character in the entire game towards the end, who was left of the final 4, I guess, in the final parts of this game, I can say that I'd say Shuichi was my favorite protagonist ever in Danganronpa. He's at number 1. Then we have Maki, Himiko, Smoothie. There you go. There's my little rankings. You can also see a tier list I did of all the characters in the game, but that's pretty much my rankings. Okay, now that we're on to this, we're going to be talking about the patron questions for the week. The first question is, NeoChill, now that you finished V3, what was your favorite chapter from the whole series, and what was your favorite trial, if it differs from your favorite chapter as a whole? Favorite chapter in Danganronpa of the entire series. I know it's going to be so, silly. I don't always remember which chapters they're from, but I will say the 2 favorite chapters I have were the chapter with the Neo World program where we went into the video game, the one with Gonta. I think it's chapter 4. That was really, really good. It was a really, really good break from all the gameplay, and I really, really enjoyed it. I think the best trial in the game, though, was the last trial of Danganronpa V3. I know, I'm picking 2 from V3. I'm probably going to be like, that's a bit of recency bias. I also have the trial where, I think it's trial 5, where Bakaru is he's like, I abstain from the trial. I rate that moment so highly. It was so funny, as I still get comments of people being like, you hate Buggeroo. It's like, I don't, I love to hate. Next up is True Peanut Butter. After playing through the entire series, what was your favorite character for the entire Danganronpa series? Do they have something that makes them stand out from any characters in your mind? Kokichi is my favorite Danganronpa character of all time. The thing that makes him stand out is because he's a little trickster, but he doesn't mean any of it. You know what I mean? He's a character that is really, really misunderstood by a lot of people around him, and intentionally so. I love his reveals at the end. I love his character arc. And just his character, free time events were also really fantastic too. I love his design also. I think he has a great design. He's adorable, has a great outfit. He's very cool. I like him quite a bit. 2 questions from Poke Girl here. Have you watched Yu-Gi-Oh! Bridge, and what was your favorite plot twist in Danganronpa, and how does it compare to plot twists in other games? I should say 3 questions, sorry. Last one for me. What would you want from Danganronpa V4? A prequel or a spin-off or something? I have watched Yu-Gi-Oh! Bridged. I watched every single episode. It's a really funny show. I think, it's hard to recapture the magic of it when it first started. It was such a fun time. But I think, in general, I do love Yu-Gi-Oh! Bridge still. What was your favorite plot twist in Danganronpa? Oh, God. I think the original plot twist with Junko was, my favorite thing ever, and still is one of my favorite things ever. It's a moment that, again, the reason why Danganronpa plot twist works so well is because they make sense. And this one just made perfect sense. Her with the whole twin thing and all this stuff, that worked really well. I know it was a scary twist as well, but that twist led to one of my favorite villains of all time, and then one of my favorite franchises that I've ever gotten to play. And what would you want from Danganronpa V4? Honestly, I would genuinely like for them to keep the other Danganronpa characters, give them a break. You know what I mean? Give them a break. I think that you don't need Junko anymore, even though I wouldn't mind Junko being in the game. But I think what you could do for Danganronpa V4, what would be really interesting actually, is maybe have a character from the previous games, who maybe we didn't really pay much attention to, trying to investigate what's happening with Danganronpa, or what's happening with these end, or maybe something is happening where it's starting up again. But the killing games this time are happening almost nearly in the public eye, but they've been outlaws. So there's a big thing about it that we have to stop this or whatever, and you're going around investigating all the stuff. So in between the trials, you are someone investigating it from the outside, and you have to investigate the Danganronpa trials from the outside with the information that people give you as well. So it's kind of a mixture of both gameplays. You're playing as someone from inside the game, and you can switch back and forth between someone on the outside who's trying to investigate it by themselves on the outside. The person on the outside is trying to investigate the actual corporations behind it. The person on the inside is trying to investigate the actual trials and survive enough so they can keep communicating with the person on the outside. That would be my thing I'd want. Malcolm Condé, what are some of your favorite visual novel type games? I don't play a lot of visual novels. I appreciate them because they actually are really underappreciated. I would say that my favorite types of visual novel games, or my favorite visual novel game ever, if that counts, is probably 13 Sentinels. To me, it's the greatest story of all time, one of the greatest video games ever made. It has a fantastic story, beautiful art style, and it's gorgeous. Also, the Famicom Detective Club, I played that 2 or 3 years ago, maybe in 2020 was it when it came out? Glorious game. Underrated. underappreciated. More people should play that game. I probably should have played it on the channel, to be honest. It's a beautiful game that if you love Danganronpa, you're probably going to love that as well. Neo Chill, I missed your second question. I apologize. Another question on a scale of 1 to 100. How hype are you for Persona 3 Reload on Friday? Because I'm on 128 personally. Very, very hyped. I'm not... I'm playing Infinite Wealth right now, like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, so I'm not trying to like disregard Infinite Wealth, so like I'm trying to like, take it every day as it comes. But last night I was about to go to sleep. I really felt it. I really felt that we're going to be playing Reload on Friday, and it means the world to me. Abacoblin, do you think they'll be adding unlockable abilities for the social links to Persona 3 Reload, or like how it's done in Persona 5? I haven't even like looked at the trailer for Persona 3 Reload past the first one. So I don't even know what they've added in this game. It's all going to be a big surprise to me. I've chosen to not look at it in the eye. You know what I mean? I've chosen to like avoid it. That was my stance, and that's what I'm sticking to. I never watch trailers for games once I've found them, once I've already been sold. I have no idea. I'm so sorry for having a terrible answer. I have no idea what they're going to do with it. If you want to know what I think they will add from Persona 5, I think that like movement is going to be changed, and that's the biggest thing. I think they're going to change movement. Dewpiker, if Danganronpa went on to continue with a new entry, how would you want it to continue? Following Hot Speed continuity, DR1 to Ultra Spargos 3 anime. Yes, I want them to stay in the same world, but again, like I said earlier, I think it'd be cool to like add some characters from outside games. It'd also be cool to play as like adults. I think that'd be a really cool thing, like to play as adults for once. Not that there's anything wrong with playing as the teenage characters, but like, can you imagine a bunch of middle-aged people trying to get through this game? I think it would have a whole different vibe to it, and a whole different idea to it. I think it would work really well. And there's nothing wrong with the characters they have in the game personally, but I just think that would work really, really well. I don't know. I think it would work really, really well. Yeah. I don't know. Like it'd be cool to have like an old lady be like, Mr. Peterson over there, I saw him going to the bathroom at 2 p.m., if you need. And it's kind of like 999 almost, kind of like that way. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching the after show, and thank you so much for being a fantastic audience and a bunch of amazing patrons. Honestly, this has been a fantastic journey with Danganronpa, and it's over now, but I think I appreciate every single thing that happened in those games, and I also appreciate the Can Never Repay the Baby Gangsta tier, which is Ty Fire 02, Jamie Bull, Jana the Banana, Smidge, Rachel S, Normal Cara, Felicitas Felix, George Candelaria, Eskun, Yuld, Radish, and Poke Girl. Thank you so much for everything, and I will see you in the next after show, which who knows what that's going to be about. If it does take a break next week, I'm not saying it will, but if we don't get a full Let's Play in or don't get a full game in, it might take a break, and maybe we'll do a shorter one to talk about whatever we're playing at the time, because we're probably just going to be playing extra stuff in Danganronpa for a bit. Maybe next week we could just have an exclusive Q&A after show where you just ask questions. I think that'd be really fun. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you very soon.